Hi, I'm Luke. Today on Out of Darts, I wanted to do a rather different video where I review the Osmo Pocket. There have been a lot of cameras used for Nerf, and this one I think is going to be very popular and a very good option. For those of you just tuning into my channel for the first time, this is a Nerf mod hobby channel where we talk all things Nerf mods, and I create original ideas and do reviews and other things. But since this is a camera that works very well for our purposes, I thought I would give it a review. I work professionally as a filmmaker for 12 years, and I've seen just about every gimbal that has ever existed, from the Freefly Movi M5, M10. I personally own the Ronin M. I own and have owned multiple gimbals for GoPros, both by Feotech and by Yi. I have also owned currently own rather, the Osmo Plus, which is a really cool little zoom thing. Now, gimbals are amazing because unlike any in-camera stabilization, they hold your camera level in the best possible way. And that's really unique for Nerf because you can recreate more of footage that looks more like a video game, where despite the blaster coming in and out of view, your field of view stays level. Now, the problem with one of these things is that they are very hard to body or head mount. This is a pretty good sized gimbal, but when this thing came out, I was kind of blown away. I have seen people even mount these on their shoulders for Nerf games, and it's been relatively successful, but it's pretty cumbersome. To compare, I was blown away when this came out. This is the Osmo Plus. And this is the Ronin M. I was blown away when this came out because this was one of the smaller gimbals that worked really well, also by DJI. And now we've come so far. It's kind of unbelievable. Previous gimbals took a lot of time to set up. Even this Ronin M, which was a great gimbal, took a lot of time to actually get balanced, and I got very good at this. I could do this in several minutes, but it was still mounting the camera, leveling, calibrating, and then checking that you were off and ready to go. And then at the end of that, you still have generally a manual focused camera, or a camera that might not have very good autofocus. This one got a little easier to set up, but you still have to plug the phone in. You have to find the Wi-Fi, get it to connect with Bluetooth. It's very, very finicky, and I found that I just didn't use it. This little guy is, in my opinion, amazing because you turn it on and you can shoot. Not only do you have this tiny little 1-inch screen in the back that will allow you to get footage on the fly, but you have tons of control there. I truly believe that the best camera you're going to have is the camera that's with you, and I think this is going to be that camera for me. I've already taken to carrying it pretty much everywhere I go, and it's always either in my car or on my desk ready to go at any moment. You can get up and running in just 5 seconds or so, pull it out, turn it on, and you're good to shoot. Essentially, this camera is just DJI's compact drone camera put into a little handheld pocket device. And I find this almost hilarious because back in my filmmaking days on a set where they had maybe paid for a drone but didn't pay to rent a gimbal, we would hand hold a quadcopter and run around just to use the GoPro gimbal that was built in. This gimbal has some really great specs, and the image quality is easily as good as any GoPro that I've seen or previous Osmo camera, aside from the fact that it does not have zoom like the Osmo Plus. There are some really nice touches as well that have just made it a pleasure to use. It comes with dongles for USB-C and Lightning for iPhone, and when you plug this in, without doing anything, it will auto-launch the software, pull up the video feed, and you are ready to go. There's nothing else you need to do. And once you're in here, you have tons more control over focus, how you use the camera, start, stop, and exposure, and all the other different modes that you might need access to. And if you want to stop filming, simply pull it off, continue shooting, or start a new clip. It really makes it a very versatile machine because you don't need this to see what you're filming because you do have a screen. Anyone who's used Sony's app or Canon's app or Nikon's app can tell you what a pain Bluetooth and wireless tethering is. I really think that this direct connector is a great solution for this problem. Sometimes those other solutions are so bad that you just don't use the camera, and in the case of this Osmo Plus, it just sits around more often than not. Even when I take it to Nerf events or End War and other places, I just never shoot with it as much as I want to. There's a link in the description to a video that I shot entirely on this camera with 0 hours of experience using it just to see what you can do under not very good lighting conditions. This is my shop. I'm under a studio light here, but the video I shot was not under this light, so you kind of get a feel for real-world scenario. All of this footage is just using the default profile, not the cinema mode or the pro mode, and no color correction has been applied to any of it other than a small white balance on the stuff that is in my packing room. The size and features and how this camera works just makes shooting good footage really simple. It's easy enough that I will pull it out to shoot my 11-month-old daughter running down the hall, and I can get it up and running faster than I can get my iPhone launched, and that's really saying something. I also think this will be a great camera for a blaster mount or a shoulder mount during gameplay. Because you've got a narrower field of view, not quite as crazy wide as GoPro, it feels a lot more natural to me, and I prefer looking at it versus the extreme wide angle GoPro. When you're looking at a GoPro, it is approximately what you see as far as peripheral vision, but all that additional information isn't that interesting to watch in a video. It really just helps with a more stable shot that provides less nausea to the viewer. This slightly cropped in version, a little narrower field of view, allows you to see further in the image, and with the 4K you really get a lot of resolution on that too. There is a tilt lock mode that I think makes this especially good for blaster camera, and that's the mode I'm in here, where you can see even if this tilts, I get a perfectly level frame. And what's cool about this is that if you've got your blaster here and got this mounted on your blaster, even if you have good muzzle control and you drop the angle here, you're still going to see this pop up and out of frame repetitively. In my blaster tests, you can see here, it functioned really well, though I do think I'm going to need to work on a 3D printed adapter to different rail types, as the camera doesn't have a 1/4-20 thread without some sort of adapter. It also has much better battery life than a GoPro, though my testing is somewhat subjective and based on the limited testing that I've done so far. The one big negative that I'm seeing this is lacking is the lack of streaming, because this camera just feels like it's born to stream. If this could tether to my phone and then send it off through Facebook or through YouTube, I think we'd see all kinds of live stream events, because this is so easy to use, so easy to hold, and I think it's going to be pretty easy to blaster mount too, so I'd love to be able to stream like a whole event with this camera. In theory, you could have power coming in through the USB-C while you're doing it as well, I think, and you could basically run all day. I will be working on some 3D printed brackets and mounts for this that will help us mount this to Picatinny, Nerf rail, and maybe even just glue-on mounts or something. It's a pretty simple little design needed, but I think it'll be really, really great. I have seen a lot of the other videos where people complain about a few minor features here and there, but I really think for our purposes, this is going to be a killer camera. It isn't cheap, it's nearly 300 bucks, and so it's not an inexpensive camera, but it is less than a flagship GoPro. Now, one thing it is not waterproof, it is not impact proof. I don't know how many times I'd want to hit that with some high velocity darts, but we will find out, because I certainly plan to use this just for that. I think in the end, this is going to make me shoot more footage. You can get some really nice B-roll, sweeping wide shots, detail shots very, very quickly, and I think it's a great complement to other cameras, and even I think at some future events like End War and other places, this is going to be my only camera I bring. I'll bring this, my iPhone, and this wireless lav, or wired lav, so I can get good audio or reasonably quality audio separate from this thing, because the biggest downside to this camera is the audio coming out of the little pinhole mic is really quite terrible. But you don't really expect a tiny little pocket camera to do that, especially when you have to hand hold. You're always going to have handling noise here and things like that, so I don't think that's as important to me personally. For other filmmakers, it might be a killing factor or kind of ends the deal. The camera comes with this great case, which I think is an engineering beauty in its own right. It's just perfectly fit, it's all soft and plush inside, it's included with the camera, unlike, you know, a lot of other places where other cameras where it would be separate. When you turn this camera off, this is a super nice touch, it will perfectly, the gimbal is actually gently holding that for like 5 seconds while you get that in here. So now this is all basically flopping around and done, so When I first did this before the new firmware update, you kind of have to line it up manually, but now they have essentially set this up so that when you turn this off, you get the right face, and you've got a few seconds to pop that into your pocket. And that's the Osmo Pocket. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of this camera. Would you use one yourself, or do you have plans to buy one? I will be featuring this heavily on the channel in the future, or footage from this rather. And until next time, I'm out of darts.